Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to bring to you
Season 1, Episode 2, Second-Hand Smoke.
Welcome everyone to Episode 2 of the first season of the Juggalo Rewind. This is Peter, and I am here with Christopher, as always. What's going on? How have you been?
Good. Doing good. We're actually hitting a song now.
Yes. Thank you all for sticking with us. We are now hitting music with lyrics.
We're here to dissect music, finally.
This is going to be a little different than the last couple episodes, and that's what we're here for. That's what you're here for. Hopefully you've told a friend or you've been told about us, and then now you're listening and you're going to tell someone else. There's a couple ways to do that.
That's right.
Go on social media. Find us on Twitter or Instagram at Juggalo RWD. RWD, it's short for rewind. I don't know if the kids know that these days.
I don't know. They don't rewind anything anymore.
They don't. That's very sad. But we do, because we're listening to old tapes and old cassettes and all kinds of stuff. So we use the rewind button.
And the newest version of this album is on vinyl, which is kind of backwards.
Yeah, we're going way backwards.
It's very exciting, though. They finally put it on vinyl.
Twitter and Instagram at JuggaloRWD. You can email us at JuggaloRWD@gmail.com. Questions, concerns, complaints, or just anything you want to talk about this song or any other track on this album.
We've discussed a little bit that a lot of this jogs our memories, a little nostalgia boost. So if you have some, nostalgic stories, I always like hearing old stories from concerts or how you first heard this and whatnot. That's always fun.
I agree. You can do it on any of those platforms or Facebook if you can find that in the messed up algorithm that, what's his name? Who created Facebook?
We're not going to go on that tangent.
Okay. So stick to Twitter and Instagram. Facebook would be a good place to tell us stories because you can't cram them into 200 characters. But
right.
Find us somewhere and let us know what you're thinking. On that note, if you use the hashtag, we need to go backwards, the hashtag #MostTastelessRewind, all spelled out, all full, you can either use that on Instagram when you share, or not share, but you make a post. If you share it on Twitter, or using, what do you call it, the Apple Music, or...
Yeah, give a review.
Give a review, and you don't have to use the hashtag on that, do you?
No.
So use the hashtag on Twitter or Instagram, or leave us a 5-star review where you listen to your podcast, and you'll be in the running for the 20th anniversary Most Tasteless vinyl.
Do we know the color of it, or are we gonna do that next episode?
I don't know if we know the color yet, but it'll pop.
Okay.
So it'll be...
Well, the color of the vinyl, I meant.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
they have three versions, right?
It's the light blue version.
Okay. Looks very nice.
So one lucky fan will win one of those. He'll be drawn at random at the end of the season and shipped or delivered to you, depending on where you are. Hopefully you're domestic. Hopefully you're in Detroit so we can walk it to you. If you're in Australia or Germany, I don't want to.
If you're a Twiztid fan, we'll meet you at Fright Fest at the end of the season.
If you're international, you better come here.
If you're international,
No, hopefully we get big enough and spread the word, so that'll be okay. Chris is an expert at shipping vinyl, or at least receiving it. Maybe not shipping it so much, but we'll get it to you. It'll be part of your collection. You can frame it, put it on the wall. Do whatever you want with it, but that's our prize, our thank you to you for spreading the word and using the hashtag #MostTastelessRewind.
Well, if you spin it, make sure your speakers are 8 OH8s, or they'll be dead blown, as they say on Secondhand Smoke.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves here as I turn Chris's volume down.
Sorry, I got excited.
He's getting a little crazy, but that's okay. We're excited about Secondhand Smoke. Let's go through. Well, first off, we should mention we have no guest. Once again, we are lonely in the studio here in the Juggalo Rewind studio.
Well, I think maybe we could add a little guest segment on this, because I think Cousin Aaron, of a family member of mine, would have a little nice story about this song, because this is the first time I've introduced him to Twiztid was through this song.
Maybe-
His story is pretty funny.
Yes, maybe we'll get him on a tie-up episode somewhere down the line. As you listen to this, either as we drop them or maybe you've learned about us in the future and you're going back and listening to all the episodes in this season, who knows? We may have an episode at the end of the year where it's a tie-up or special guests or just a best of or just the things that we missed out on. So if we get Cousin Aaron on another episode, maybe we'll double back on this or we'll put it somewhere. So you'll be hearing from him. If you listen to us on our 20 by 20 podcast, which talks about wrestling and nonsense, Cousin Aaron and he's a character. So he'll for sure be doing something with us on the rewind. So look out for him. All right, so let's talk about the song at hand. Secondhand Smoke. Produced by Scott Sumner. First track on the CD produced by him.
Mm-hmm.
Running time, 4 minutes, 32 seconds. Pretty good time.
That's pretty long.
It is.
That's a long song, actually.
Track number, we were running number 2 on the original and also number 2 on the track listing for the reissue of Mostasteless.
Everything's lining up consistently still.
So far, so good. First song, first track. Second song, second track. We're on pace. Now, one thing we didn't talk about on the last episode that we'll touch on here, Secondhand Smoke was put on what fans speculate. I'll say speculate because we don't know for sure.
It's true.
Was on the demo that we should talk about. I'm going into lots of different things here. So let me segue out of that segue. I don't know how to talk about Twiztid. Like, I know people do it, but I am not going to say Jamie and Paul. That is it's too weird for me. I can't do it. So
yeah,
I'm always going to say like Madrox and Monoxide.
Yeah, I don't personally know them, so I'm not going to call them that.
If you want to at home, you go right ahead. If we have a guest that wants to, that's fine. That's just not my cup of tea. So
yeah, I don't know Undertaker, so I don't call him Mark.
I would call him Mark. What up, Mark? So back to my first diatribe. What we have always gathered was that Madrox and Monoxide put together a demo and gave it to Psychopathic to just let them know what they were all about, see if they would sign them. So this was one of the tracks that was on said demo.
Now, this is going to be speculation because we don't know the true story, but this demo, did it come before or after they were opening for them? Because we know they were opening for the Insane Clown Posse at the time.
So I think it was during / after, because they formed as a group, Twiztid, opening for ICP, just them two, in early 98. So I know that they were opening as HOK for them, in at least 96. So on and off, they would still do things. And we don't want to get too far into the depths of their history, but somewhere along the line, the 3 members of HOK disagreed on if they wanted to stay together and keep doing what they were doing or go to Psychopathic. And 2 of them wanted to and 1 of them didn't, or however the story, pans out. I'm sure there's different versions of that from different people, but I'd say at that point, like you're speculating that it was like literally while they already knew them. I guess that's what.
I guess I'm just wondering, because they made these the songs they put in the demos are all heavy hitters on this. So playing people open for bands and the band they're opening for doesn't know them or doesn't pay attention enough. So they must have known them enough to know who they were, but they went out of the way to record. These are the songs. All right, we're gonna put in the work for these songs and give them. This will be the pitch because these ones definitely stand out. I love House of Crazies, but I feel like these songs on the ones we call the demos take another leap in quality.
I understand. Yeah, I know where you're coming from. And I don't think it's like a unknown, kind of like, hey, I'm an unknown band. Here's my demo. Like, that's kind of a dirty word to use. I think maybe either they were asked, hey, give us your 3 hottest new songs, or they had those in the bag and they're like, hey, this is what we got in the works. Do you think you could polish this or work with this, or, you know, this is what we have on tap. Mm-hmm. Whatever the case may be.
The term demo maybe at this point isn't a demo as we say it. It's like an unknown artist handing a label.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't know why I even use that word. I always see it thrown around. It was just what we have been led to believe.
The tracks they brought.
Yes.
When they decided, all right, we're going to try to get signed, or, you know, or asked for to get signed.
Yeah, here's our 3 hottest songs.
These are the 3 songs that kind of transferred from House of Crazy to Twiztid.
Yes, and there were more eventually, but those are the 3 that we've always been told were, like, got them in the door. And
okay.
This is one of them. We'll note those as we go along, but Secondhand Smoke was, as we've been told, on that quote-unquote demo tape. Mm-hmm. Now, we talk about merch. Could you imagine, like...
I mean, there's only one, right?
Is it a tape? Is it a CD? Is it like a DAT? Like, I wonder how they got it to them.
At that point, a tape, maybe a CD.
That's crazy. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever...
Does anyone still have it? Yeah. Is it in circulation? Probably not. It's probably lost.
Yeah, no, it was just probably a shitty, like, tape with handwriting on it.
It's dubbed over. It was in Violent J's car in 96 with something else all taped over it. Like, yeah, but talk about if you had, you know, like, little segue, Jack White, local musician, has, like, archived his stuff from the beginning, like every flyer, every show's recorded. Right. And, like, to think of things like that, at the time, not many people probably did think to archive that, but this is what we're doing, is discussing these things of like, oh, wow, could you imagine if you found that?
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. Even just bands that I listen to, like Pearl Jam had one, you know, circulated tapes of their first couple songs, or what, like, they would give to Eddie Vedder and he would sing over or write over. And they've re-released things that were similar to it, but I don't know if there's like the one original
copy, without Eddie Vedder on it.
I mean, maybe, like, there's crazy stuff out there. So that's an interesting point. What was that tape, and who has it, and was there one copy, or was it just we're way overthinking it? It was just like,
but that's the point of this, is overthinking stuff that doesn't need to be overthunk.
So as we said, it was on the demo tape, and they also played Secondhand Smoke while they opened for ICP on the House of Horrors tour. They played a handful of songs in front of the all black background, and Jason and Michael Myers were there, but Secondhand Smoke was one of those tracks, and that goes back to the fact, which we will talk about, I'm sure, later in this episode and in future ones, that this clearly was a track that was done pre-Psychopathic, that they brought with them, either fully or at least the theory, you know, a little bit behind it, and then they used it on tour. So it's the bridge between House of Crazies and what we know as Twiztid.
Yeah, it has a foot in each door. You have that feeling of both, kind of.
For sure. Also, we will mention that we didn't mention it in the last episode, but for this one and for a couple others, there's a definitive sample that is used in this track.
Oh, big sample. This one's huge.
If you are not familiar, I mean, this is my childhood right here. Free Your Mind by En Vogue.
Free your mind.
The track opens with that, and then it's on all the hooks, correct?
Right, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. That's definitely a staple, a very noticeable sample. Most, I think, samples kind of go under the radar.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
this one is like in your face. If you know it, it's there.
And even if, like, I imagine any Juggalo, and we talk about Juggalo culture, significance, any Juggalo who doesn't know the sample, though knows that sound, like when the Free Your Mind kicks in on a show, that's a definitive sound for sure. And probably plenty of people out there have no idea that's an En Vogue sample.
Yeah.
It's just part of the song, but like, yeah, talk about something that a whole bunch of people probably love and don't even realize it's a separate song.
That's funny.
Kinda
like,
cool.
Now we're just talking about random music. Like, I feel like it pops up less and less for me, but every once in a while a song will come up and I'm like, that's a cover?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, obvious, like, I mean, how many people cover Bob Dylan? You know, just like Guns N' Roses, like, it's like, oh my God, I know that as a Guns N' Roses song, but it's Bob Dylan did it 20 years before. Or I always joke with my wife that for the longest time, I thought come together was an Aerosmith song.
Oh yeah, that's when I first heard it too.
And then like 20 years later, I'm like, the Beatles? Like I had no clue. And I mean, Sheryl Crow's done a couple hits where they're covers. And
The biggest one that stands out just because the cover surpasses the original.
Alien Ant Farm doing Smooth Criminal.
No, Hurt by Johnny Cash is like,
That's a good one.
because his version is so insane and so good and so fitting that you even forget, like, oh my God, like he took that song and made it his own, and it's a cover, but man,
Yeah.
sorry, Trent Reznor, your song is gone.
You just knew it because it was on the Undertaker for WrestleMania 30 or whatever.
Definitely not.
But yeah, there's a ton like that, and I'm sure a lot of samples kind of slide through and people don't realize them. But that's a very good point that I don't know if a lot of people, will say a lot of juggalos may not know that, but as soon as they hear the song or that, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
shit.
kicks.
Like,
Oh, this is one
here
of the
it
tracks,
comes.
yeah.
But did they put together that it's from something? I don't know. You tell us, young juggalos. Did you know that this is an En Vogue song? Do you know who En Vogue is? Can you name another En Vogue track?
I can't.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking the people at home. Let me know if you know anything by En Vogue. That's clearly my 7th and 8th grade era right there. So that's one sample that is in here. There could be a million more. That's something that I don't know if we're going to be able to pick out in every track. I think just hip hop in general, that's really hard. For me, at least, to know what's out there. But
And especially this era where you're just picking bits and pieces. So when it comes to samples, that one's obvious. But I'm sure there's plenty of just drum loops and shit that's pulled from a song that you have no idea.
It's like Led Zeppelin stealing their whole first two
They're
albums.
they're just blatantly ripping off artists.
That's going to be our next season, is the real songs behind what Led Zeppelin stole from.
I love Led Zeppelin, but man, talk about just blatantly stealing music.
That's terrible. All right. So we've kind of gotten through the history of the track. Let's dig into the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do that? You kind of already mentioned the, what do you call it? The Free Your Mind sample. I guess we could call that part of the lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we discussed things that are like, all right, what is synonymous with this song and what sticks out and what stands the test of time, and that sample alone, the opening. When you listen to the album, the record spins and it kicks into the Free Your Mind. That will always be synonymous, I think, with this track for sure.
What's always synonymous with podcast with me and Chris is Chris singing. So
I'm trying not to, but
I hope we get that in every single episode. So that's almost better than the singing, is like the little sound effects, like the chainsaw noise or the yeah. So hopefully there's no dogs barking, because he likes to do his growling voice. I don't know. Just going through the lyrics, as I have my little lyric book in front of us, which we printed from online, and it's real funny. And we'll probably talk about this in every episode. I don't want to say lyrics are what you make of them, but sometimes it's hard to understand what someone's saying.
right.
And when you look online and you see just random versions of that's not what the person said, or
That's probably your brain, because you've always said, "Oh, this is what I've said over and over when I listen to it." It's hard to tell.
Or the person who wrote it is just totally wrong.
This is true.
There's one on here. What's the website that you pulled this from?
Rap Genius is the.
I think that's where I pulled mine from. And there's some where it's just like a question mark. Like they didn't even try.
I can't get it.
Yeah, so.
All right, so I'm going to say this is one of my favorite Twiztid songs ever.
All right, we're jumping right to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Sorry, but in reviewing the lyrics, a lot of these lyrics make no sense to me whatsoever. And I'll sing along, super into it, and I'm like, what are they talking about?
Do you mean just they don't make sense, or they don't go to what you thought the song was about, or both?
Yeah, they just don't make. It's not like it's a story. It's just kind of it sounds great, but it's just I don't even know how to describe it. Mix mash of just the things they're saying.
Yeah, I that's a funny point that I think maybe we'll hit with different songs. That in all types of music, I think I like a story. Mm-hmm. I like where it's coming from, the singer's perspective, or it's telling something from A to B. And not every song is like that. Some are just kind of what sounds good. And yeah, I don't know if this song really tells a story. I even just calling it secondhand smoke. Is there really that much like weed talk in here? There really isn't.
It's just violence, I guess. So I would describe this track. I don't know. It's very strange. I think maybe it's just because the beat is that intense and heavy is what like draws you in.
Yeah.
Like the music is so good that it doesn't really matter what they're saying, but you know the lyrics and you sing along. I don't know. It's very strange. Maybe it's because it's the first song I know myself heard from them. I'm sure plenty of others that maybe that's why you connect to it and like put it as an all-time classic track.
It's something that not that we've done a ton of episodes, but we haven't really discussed like the difference between the lyrics and the beat. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes one is way better than the other, and obviously when they both come together, that's perfect. You know, that makes a great song. But yeah, maybe this is one of those songs where the beat is just better than the lyrical content. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm asking, you know, for future conversation. Maybe that's something we need to address. The beat is real good. That sounded stupid, but yeah, lyrically, I don't know if there's anything. I don't want to say like everlasting or that sticks out in the Juggalo history, but there's nothing that I think like, wow, that's a line that people use all the time, or maybe we say it like you're in line at a show and people are chanting it as much as like some people don't like that because there's some that are like way overdone. But other than the hook, like maybe I could see people like chanting that, but then it's just breathe it in secondhand smoke just over and over. Like,
so as we go through this album or just Twiztid in general, Jimi Hendrix has some pretty like good, you know, great lyrics, flow, and he flows great in here. But like,
what's wrong with Monoxide's lyrics? Are you saying
I like Monoxide, but I'm just saying,
which do you like better, A or B? Pick one.
Jimi Hendrix usually is, you know, considered a Monoxide. I think a track says his favorite rappers are, and he's how people and says Madrox. So I think Madrox has that to him. He's like known as a guy who flows and stuff. And
I just wanted to get you uncomfortable right off the bat. So
reading through this though, there's no like, you're like, oh man, it's a classic Madrox line in here. I don't think there's any of those in here. But again, it's one of my favorite songs. It's a very odd one.
Yeah, we're hitting it off with a bang here in episode 2 that we didn't think we'd hit something like this. I think we just thought not that this isn't a banger, but like, I think I just thought something different. You know, we're hitting something interesting. So.
I've sung along to the lyrics, listening to it, you know, drive in my car, in the basement, listening to music, but you don't even like think of what the song's about, and maybe it doesn't need to though. I mean, it sounds good, it works, especially in this era. You're kind of just saying shit to say shit when you're rapping.
Just looking through it, I don't know if you already said this, but his line about the sawed-off double-barreled pump, I feel like that's maybe one that's, of all of them,
that's one that pops me when I hear it.
Yeah, it's not like a full line that you can quote, or that's like on a t-shirt. Like, maybe that's another thing. Like,
yeah, just
like what's on a t-shirt. Not saying them in particular, but there's so many shirts out there that like they just throw entire lyrics or you know, hooks, and it's like, yeah, that's not like shirt worthy or poster worthy or whatever. I just don't know if it's a worthy of being a classic line, but that's comparing it to other songs. I don't know, comparing it to this song. To me, that's probably the one that jumps sticks out. But
I think the one that jumps out to me is the Monoxides, where he's flowing and he says death, dying, and hose fucking. And when Madrox yells, so understand that he's saying something, I feel like that's always one live. Everyone shouts
gets
back.
The crowd going.
Yeah.
These are all our opinions. If you at home can think of another line that Okay, I lied. I don't know how we missed this.
Did we miss one?
I was about to say, anyone out there who has another line that you think pops out to you, that stands out as like the classic line or has like a part in Juggalo history, let us know. The fucking first two lines.
I represent the east side, no peace. Fuck the police. We tell you to embrace the deceased at least.
That's the
Represent the
two.
east side, no peace, yeah.
Like, that's what everyone is the loudest
Jumps
at.
into, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the east side reference. That's something they always call on.
Yeah, the fuck the police line. Like,
Yeah.
just how those two flow together, that's 100%. I changed my vote. Like, that's it.
And that goes to the whole fact of like the song, like you said, the flow. Like it just sounds good and rides the music well.
Yeah.
Another maybe Juggalo cultural impact. Newport cigarette reference. Is that the first time? I know that's always their thing, is the Newport cigarette, that era for sure.
Well,
early
yeah, it's
on.
the first time because it's the first song on the first CD.
I didn't know.
Asshole.
God damn it. I didn't know House of Crazies, maybe. It was a thing.
You're the HOK mark.
I am.
So
I don't think they talk about cigarettes on there like that.
So that brings up another point that we'll touch on real quick. Because we talked about how this was on the quote-unquote demo tape and they played it on the House of Horrors tour, we assume this is a House of Crazies era written / recorded track.
At least started,
Yeah.
The concept and the lyrics probably were.
So we're going to try to mention this in different songs too. Jamie Madrox definitely refers to himself as Mr. Bones, which is his HOK name. Monoxide definitely talks about calling himself the Monoxide Child. So it's either we can speculate that was a nickname that he was considering before and then just it stuck and Twiztid. Was this really written like half, HOK era, half
Right.
Twiztid era? Like we're going to talk about this as we go along, but we think that we can pick out when songs were made on this CD, but this one kind of throws us for a loop right off the bat. Again, it was on the demo, it was on the tour way before the CD, and Scott Sumner produced it, so that was like, was that at the disc, I think?
Yeah.
Clearly, by all accounts, it's a pre-psychopathic written song.
Yeah,
but,
something they brought to the table.
but the fact that he calls himself Monoxide in there is just kind of throws that for a little bit of a loop. But
Yeah, I take it maybe he just was using it as a reference. It's like, that's not my name. I'm just calling myself that in the song. And maybe he's like, oh, that's a cool name. Like we have to rebrand ourselves or something. Who knows? And he pulled that out.
we'll have to.
That's all speculation at this point.
We'll see in future episodes if he talks about himself like that in songs that are not Scott
Right.
Sumner / HOK era song. So we'll keep an eye on that.
One last comment on the lyrics.
Yes, I'm hoping you were going to bring this up, so go right ahead.
We went to Rap Genius. A lot of them have little call outs you could pull up and get background on some of the lyrics.
Which is a really funny thing. Like a lot of those, like, was it like A to Z is like just shitty lyrics that people put in there. But this one in particular, if you have a reference to what they're talking about, you can just throw a little thing on the side and it like explains it, which is sometimes really bad, but sometimes actually pretty useful.
Yeah, it's awesome on like certain artists like Lupe Fiasco has some crazy albums with references and ASAP Rock and stuff. You pull those out and you see all these wild references.
Could you imagine like a ludicrous one with just like every like
these like all pop culture crazy stuff? Yeah. So for this, there's not many, but I've always heard this song as standing in some comfortable shits like Chuck Norris. That's what I've always thought he said, and I'm just assuming he meant like blue jeans or like the cowboy boots. I didn't know.
like WrestleMania 9 or WrestleMania 7 outfit.
Kicking Jeff Jarrett in the face. But according to the genius here, and there was a commercial. This is a reference to a local Metro Detroit commercial for Chester Boot Shop, which we've seen. We've driven past it.
Yeah, it's right by Hot Hits and Record Time in Roseville.
And they have a commercial with a fake Chuck Norris called Chuck Morris. And he's got a fucked up looking foot in the commercial. And he's like, I need to get something comfy for these shoes. And they're like, I mean, they would know this. I imagine this is their era growing up. So when you listen to it, it sounds like Norris, but it might be Chuck Morris. And this commercial is fantastic. And I hope that's exactly what they're referencing.
My feet are killing me. I need some comfortable boots.
Thanks for shopping at Chester Boot Shop, Mr. Morris.
Chester Boot Shop. Boot, shoes, and accessories for the whole family. Located on Gratiot at 11 and a half in Roseville.
Yeah, and we can't even like pull it from the rhyme. So like Forrest, Morris, chorus. Forrest, Norris, chorus.
Yeah,
like it's
it goes
all
either way.
Oh man, yeah, that's funny. When you brought that up, I was dying.
But
So,
Chester Boot Shop presents Chuck Morris and Feats of Fury. Amazing.
if you know, if you can get us in touch with Chuck Morris or Chuck Norris, but at this point, I think we'd rather talk to Chuck Morris.
Yeah, we want Chuck Morris. Hopefully he's still kicking. His foot was pretty mangly looking in that commercial.
Yeah, he looked a little old, and that had to be from the 90s, right?
Yeah, early 90s for sure.
Look for that.
Local Detroit legend like Melfar.
Or like Henry the Hatter.
Yeah. Or Roddy Hogan.
Okay,
He
that's
doesn't have a
enough.
commercial, but everyone knows him.
Yeah, we need to get past that.
Moving on.
Moving on. So we've talked about the lyrics. That was our deep dive. If you want to go deeper, let us know. I think that's all we can do on this one. So we also now want to talk about where else you can find this track. And there's a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
Even before Mostasteless. I guess I don't have a timeline on this. This is a really good question that we're just talking out loud with.
Fatter Whack came out after the...
Between the original and the
'cause that's
reissue,
that's
right?
how I found him.
So Chris is Googling that. Our studio here is filled with lots of microphone wires, a booklet of lyrics, CD cases, 5 empty cans of Coors Light, 2 computers. We're doing...
That was released in 99.
Okay, so it was originally on the original Mostasteless. They knew that they were coming out with the reissue, so they were part of the Fat or Whack sampler, which was theoretically given out at shows or concert or,
Or I paid $3 for it at Rock of Ages.
it's also possible. And that was promoting Jekyll Brothers,
Yeah.
Mostasteless. Was it promoting anything else?
No, it was just
Like
those two. back and
Misery,
forth.
Misery wasn't on it?
No.
Because that CD would have already come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was on, a little clip of that was on Fat or Whack. I don't think there was anything different on that version, because I don't think there was anything different from the original and the Island version. And then you tell the story, is that the first time you heard Twiztid, or Aaron heard Twiztid, or both?
Both of us. So I bought that at Rock of Ages.
You bought a sampler, idiot.
I'm 99,
Mark?
99, yeah, well, that's true. 99, I'm in 8th grade, so I'm not going to shows. I'm not getting stuff in the mail from them. So riding my bike up to Rock of Ages and like, oh, what is this? New ICP sampler? Okay. It's like, might have been $1.99, $2.99. It was, definitely below $5. And yeah. So I knew Jekyll Brothers was coming out, super excited, but I'm like, oh, what is this band? No idea. And when, like I said, the En Vogue sample for Free Your Mind kicks in and that drops, like we said earlier, I represent the East Side, that starts going. I was like, holy shit, this is a whole nother level. Like, this is wild as hell. So fast forward, going up north, me and my cousin in my uncle's Astro van. I'm like, we had the old Walkman tapes, and I'm like, you got to listen to this. We were huge ICP fans.
That's let me interrupt you. Did you get the Fat or Whack tape
Oh no,
or the CD?
Not Walkman, Discman.
Because they did have...
They had both, yeah.
Yeah.
I eventually got both because, as you said,
Because
I'm
we're
an
a
asshole.
mark.
But
That's a running commentary that we're both assholes.
yeah, the CD was what I purchased to listen to originally, and I showed him that. He goes, I remember my mind blown. I just want to like rip the roof off the van. He's just like shaking. Yeah, it was such a heavy, hard sound when I first heard that kick in. And as we mentioned it, Scott Sumner beat, man. Mike Clark to me is a third member of ICP. He's synonymous with that sound. But
Right.
man, when it comes to this album, that Scott Sumner is the
Yeah.
staple.
And this is a really dumb question because I'm not in the hip hop community. If you're the producer, that means you made the beat. Like,
Yeah,
or did he just
generally.
like record it, or both? You know, like
Yeah.
if they recorded at the disc, like he does both.
And when it comes to Mike Clark, he did both, right?
Some
people don't, but
I just wonder, like, you know, it's
in
like,
in the terminology we're saying produced, yeah, they're making the music.
because, like, you know, when you watch a movie and they're like written, directed, produced,
Yeah.
like, it's like, I don't want to say what's the difference, because I know someone out there is like, well, obviously this is this and this is it, but like, I just wonder, like, that clearly means like he made the beats for all those, or he just like put it together and recorded it.
No, yeah, in this context, I would say he made the music, the beats.
Well, Scott Sumner's kind of the man, right?
And as we did a little deep dive into him, he has a few others. He did some stuff on Blaze Did Homies, Clockwork Gray, some George Clinton remixes.
Shane Capone.
We were cracking up. He's on Shane Capone, which is heavy in the era of local Detroit hip hop we were into back in the day. He did a song on the Triple X State of the Union soundtrack, real funny. But I think he's still around with him. That's something we'd have to follow up on as we dive into this season.
Yeah, I feel like his name is coming up a little more and more, at least more into current times than we anticipated. I just assumed it was like a blast from the past, but it clearly he's done more stuff. Even like Clockwork Gray was like early to mid 2000s. Like I just assumed he was like a 1996 and out kind of guy.
Yeah, a couple Boondocks tracks, Daruckus.
Ton of good stuff. Yeah, let's put him on the list.
We're local hip hop fans here of Paradigm. He does that Alan Allnuts interlude and another track on Vices. So
yes.
This is Alan Allnuts here on Pillow Talk with you on WLUV. We're going to do 2 in a row for my man Paradigm. We're going to do another one coming up. This one's called All That. He's dedicating it out to all you bitch-ass rappers out there. So ladies, give me a call, 313-298-LOVE. I'll be here all night. This is Alan Allnuts. We're going to go back to my man Paradigm.
Put that on the sheet on my guest list on who we want. Just put Scott Sumner if he's not already on there, which he may be. So where were we? What were we talking? Oh, other versions. How do we get on Scott Sumner from other versions? So this song was in not in its entirety, but it was clipped into Fatter Whack. Also, you fast forward. I don't have a year on this. I can look real quick, as everyone likes to stick around with us. I don't have a year on that, so it's probably late 2003, early 2004. Chris is pointing to the actual CD that's helping my computer from overheating. 2003, 2004, there was a remix of Secondhand Smoke on Cryptic Collection Volume 3.
This shit ain't for everybody. I live the 7 bodies for melancholy. Suicide is just a folly and I'm out.
What'd you think of that version there, Chris?
not a fan.
Because you don't like any kind of remix, right? It's tough.
It's hard for a song I really liked and listened to a lot for a remix to work, and the beat's fine on this remix. I don't know. I just feel like it was Cryptic Collection 3. I feel like it's kind of the beginning of like it was almost a filler track, like something they had to throw in there.
Yeah, I like CDs like that have remixes and different versions and rare songs. I don't know. I don't want to say that was the last good one from them, because I think there were good ones after that.
Themed ones are good. They had a good Halloween one.
That's what I was gonna say. Like they turned it around where they have. I had the list. They have one of like all VIP singles, all Halloween singles, all weed singles, all whatever. Like I like the they didn't just go like, we're just gonna go songs
Dig
that were
through
too
the trash
shitty.
bin, throw them in there.
Yeah, some people do that and it's garbage. Like 3, I don't remember if they had a 4. They definitely had a 4. I don't know if they had a 5. But at that point, I'm like, this isn't my cup of tea. Or they're like, they got all the stuff out that I kind of wanted to hear. But yeah, if this one was maybe just a filler, like they just threw in there, like was it oh, hey, this works well, or they thought they were going to use it somewhere, or did they really just be like, oh shit, we need a song.
Yeah.
And that's not a Twiztid thing. That's an every band thing.
Oh yeah,
like,
especially when you have a secondhand album of rarities and stuff, and you need to fill out the. It just I tried doing some digging There's no one linked to who remixed it, so I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's much behind it. It was just kind of a random beat.
Yeah. It'd be cool if it was like, hey, this was supposed to be on whatever, or this was used for a commercial, or
like a lot of other artists now, they have a single and they'll put out a EP of 4 or 5 different artists remix it for them. So yeah, it's not like it's someone made this remix to put it on here. It just kind of was there. So yeah, I don't know.
It's there. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. Now you fast forward to, man, this had to be 2019, right? Mm-hmm. Or 20. I don't know. I get the years confused.
Ooh, 20 might have been the
80s
party.
At Astronomicon, which is Twiztid's pop culture event, they released a CD called Back to the 80s that had 80s mixes of some of their classic songs with some classic 80s hip-hop songs.
Yeah.
Not even hip-hop songs, just 80s songs.
Yeah.
And they mixed Secondhand Smoke with the Beastie Boys' No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Bitches wanna shut me down, pulling plugs on the microphones, hating on the individual. Handle Mr. Bowles, hope your speakers 8 ohms or they dead blow. If they all turn this motherfucker up and mash on, then we blast on bitch ass. The singing fast rate, growing at a fast pace, made my heart race, looking death in the face, and I don't even shudder. If a woman starts cheating, motherfucker, bitch, I'm off herself. Green weed.
Did they perform these live? I wasn't at the VIP party. I think they did perform them.
I feel like we were at the convention, and we had a table for the 20 by 20. We did a Juggalo trivia. You can see us there when we do these, but I believe we were back at the hotel eating White Castles, watching TV, half asleep.
That doesn't put me in a specific year because we do that every convention we go to.
So I remember waking up though in the morning and being like, oh, there's like some sort of 80s theme show and they're like rapping over 80s beats. Like and I didn't realize they put a CD out and gave it away. So
until a half hour ago when I told them.
Right. And I was like, oh man, this is on. This is recording. So this is amazing.
That same song was also on the For the Fam 3 CD, which I think they just gave away on, like you get $50 on the website and you get a free CD. Something like along those lines within the past year or so. And they called it the No Sleep Till Secondhand Smoke. I mean, it's just a mix of the name, but those are two places that you can find that track. Still with the En Vogue. Is the En Vogue sample on there? I don't know.
Oh, I don't think so.
I was going to say they may have... oh, no, here's a question. Oh, we may need to look into this as we're recording. Did they take the En Vogue sample off of the Island version?
No.
They left it on there?
Yeah, it's the exact same song.
Well, it's not working on my computer, so I'll take your word for it. If we're wrong, then the juggalos out there will let us know. Let's see, what else do we have about this? I think we've talked about kind of everything. Oh, I should go back. I like the 80s versions. I may not be a huge Beastie Boys fan, but obviously that's like an iconic song. Mm-hmm. And I like stuff like that. Like, you're right, a random remix where it's just like, this is like got a saxophone, or it's just like a weird different beat. It's like, okay, that's different, but this is something that like I can get into. It's
definitely.
So I'm a fan of the mixture.
It's a little weird at first because it's so like slow down. The lyrics are so much slower to match it, but yeah, when you're throwing it over other song, like it's almost like a club remix. You're mixing beats and lyrics and stuff. So that was, Mike Clark did a lot of those too. We love those mixtapes he did. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that, of taking an old song and throwing the lyrics over it. Maybe not a classic on that, when it comes to the actual song itself, but it's a fun thing to have.
Right. All right, I'm going to fast track some questions for you, and you're going to answer them rapidly. Are you ready? What is your favorite version? Regular, remix, or 80s?
Oh, regular.
Going straight regular.
Yeah. Come on, one of the top 5 all time.
Oh, well, that's good. No, you're skipping ahead here. Just on this CD, where do you rate it on Mostasteless? Is it like, you don't have to like rank it specifically, but are we talking like top of the list?
Top, yeah. Oh, top for sure.
Tippy top of Mostasteless for you? I would probably agree with that. What about just in Twiztid's history? I know you just tipped your hand at that.
Yeah, tippy top.
Like, you're legit talking top 5 Twiztid song of all time.
I would venture to say 3.
Man, I don't even know. You're going to make me look at the CD. Top 3 of all time. Christopher. Come on.
Which I said makes it even weirder when I read the lyrics and I go, they're not really talking about anything on these lyrics.
Yeah. Ooh.
And it could be nostalgia.
Oh yeah, I mean that goes into all of this. We're not talking like this is Beethoven, like where it has to be perfect. It's how it makes you feel and what you think. So
Beethoven sucks you.
I'm not questioning. I think it's up there. For me, I don't know if it's like the top 3 or top 5 of all time, but it's.
And I don't think they would call it that because I feel like anytime we've seen them recently, they don't play it.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't think it's in rotation much. Like,
I was going to ask that. That's probably something we should look at. After a quick look, I believe Chris is correct. I'm just looking at some set lists here from Christmases and New Year's Evils, and recently they haven't played it. I'm kind of surprised. I would have called that a Twiztid staple, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was.
Just not anymore.
Yeah. A decade ago.
Wow. Yeah, to me, I think it's as the studio moves. I think it's a classic. I don't know if it's like a tippy top classic, but if I'm thinking, Twiztid songs, that's on my.
Mm-hmm. If you had a compilation,
if I had a CDR of 72 minutes of Twiztid music, I would think that may be on there. Maybe not. It'd be right on the bubble.
First
ballot
couple
Hall
I
of
put in
Fame
there.
for
Yeah.
you.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's good. So that's our place, or where we're placing Secondhand Smoke in our Twiztid history. If you feel any different, as we said before, feel free to hit us up on Twitter, on Instagram at JuggaloRWD, or give us an email at juggalorwd@gmail.com. Is there anything else that we need to tie the bow on for one of your favorite songs, Secondhand Smoke?
Just hoping Chuck Morris got his feet fixed by now.
That's really what, if you've listened to the last 47 minutes of this podcast, if you got anything other than maybe that there was a remix or an 80s remix, you learned about Chuck Morris.
Chuck Morris and En Vogue. That's 2 things you take from this.
Yes. Hopefully Spotify doesn't shut us down for talking about En Vogue. But they're probably like, Chuck Morris? Who the hell is that? Because God knows I only learned about him 20 minutes ago. So, all right. I think that's all that we have for this episode. But stay tuned for, next week when we come back with episode 3, season 1. We're knocking out the bangers.
It is. It's heavy hitters right off the bat.
That is. That's why we picked Mostasteless. It's a classic album and a classic era from a classic band. All right. For Chris, this is Peter. Thank you for listening to the Juggalo Rewind. We will see you next week. Thanks. All music played in this episode and in this entire season is owned by the respective publishers and copyright holders and is reproduced for review purposes only under fair use. Season 1 of the Juggalo Rewind, Mostasteless, has been produced and distributed with full permission from Magic Ninja Entertainment. Thank you to George, Mike, Dustin, and Twiztid, and everyone at Magic Ninja for allowing us to do this podcast for you.